What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and today I'm joined by Chris Abacon.
What's going on, everybody?
And Daniel Acevedo.
Just want to let you guys know, I ate a piece of apple pie and have a nice sugar high, and I'm ready for all this.
Okay, so unfortunately, Shannon was unable to make it. He's just under the weather, so it's that time of the year. With that being said, please continue to tune in Monday and Tuesday our topics, Wednesday discussion, Thursdays Ask CISSP. I don't have a lot of those for the fall season because a lot of people are taking a break, obviously because of the holidays. But I think I have one more coming up, so stay tuned for that. And then Fridays, everything else, movies, books, games, all that good stuff. Definitely continue to tune in, like, share, subscribe, all those things I always forget to say up top. If you're listening to us on 99.1 FM, whether it be tune in or live on the radio, please leave us your feedback as well. And yeah, without further ado, I'll toss it to myself. Topic one, what we have is the iOS update, right? So there's a lot of beef with this one, or consternation coming from law enforcement. So iPhones now auto restart to block access to encrypted data after long idle times, right? So Apple's added a new security feature with the iOS 18.1 update released last month to ensure that iPhones automatically reboot after long idle periods to re-encrypt data and make it harder to extract. So not too long ago, the federal government actually came out and said, hey, you should probably reboot your phones daily, right? Because you don't want an APT to gain a foothold into your system, and then you have that exposure for a long period of time. The longer they're in there, the longer they're able to extract data from you and do nefarious things. So Apple did something about it, but everyone's not so happy about it. So I will toss it to Chris first. What are your thoughts?
I think this is in line with Apple's commitment to security, first of all. I think they do take the privacy, no matter what, of the individual or iPhones above all, which is kind of in their promise. It's really cool because it's really the opposite of what we're used to. Every other big tech company, in my opinion, is really out there to mine that data, right? Mine that data, which is basically the new oil, right? It's gold. But Apple has continued to show and lead the example for protection of people's privacy, people's data, things of that nature, right? Really, when it comes to this specific topic regarding the iPhone, a lot of people just don't turn off their devices, right? Especially Mac users. Windows, just for me as a Mac user, I don't think I've ever turned off my unless it tells me to restart my actual MacBook, right? I don't actually go and actively shut it down like I would a Windows computer at the end of the day, or for my work computer, which is a Microsoft Surface. I shut that baby down in the weekends. I don't want anybody to hit me up, right? That's how it is. At least maybe it's just something that we're used to doing. But with Apple, right, I think them having to add this additional feature makes a lot of sense, because I think the general populace does not shut off their iPhones, right? And this takes protection for data at rest another level, right? So I think it's a fantastic move from Apple's part. But again, with law enforcement, sorry, man, it's just the way the way it is. I think if law enforcement, they probably have to work with Apple to get something done to decrypt things on a case by case basis, or I'm not aware of the legal proceedings that are necessary for such things, but law enforcement can, they're just going to have to figure it out, and they probably will, right? They've got smart people that work for them. What's really cool about this is, for you guys that aren't aware, every time that you log in with Face ID or your PIN or whatever, it decrypts your data. It decrypts your phone so that you can use it, right? But that same key is being utilized for one session, right? Or it's encrypted in one method, in one session when you lock it. But restarting it resets that process to where it's got to get a new decryption key and cipher and all that fancy cryptography stuff. So I think it's pretty cool. right? I've got nothing but praises for it. For me, Apple is doing a good job of protecting my data. I'm going to continue being an Apple user just because, at least from the iPhone perspective, just because there's too much with Google, like the privacy issues with Google. Apple's the way to go. Not, and please sponsor us, Apple. Please, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, if you want to be a sponsor.
Yeah, that'd be nice, right? When it comes to mobile device protection, I'm all about Apple. So, Daniel, what are your thoughts?
I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth. The first thing on my notes is, Apple's always been really forward-thinking in implementing security measures and whatever security they can kind of include out of the box on their devices. It's always kind of baked in. They do a good job of architecting security within their processes, procedures, and hardware. And this is just another look at that. For all the privacy advocates in the world and tinfoil hat people that love to protect their own stuff, they must be gobbling this up. They must be super happy that this is a feature from an update. It's pretty cool, right? It's kind of using something that's already available within how it encrypts itself and then enabling it to even better the security of the device. I don't think I remember seeing something like this, in this kind of arena, whether it be from a Windows device or a computer. I'm pretty sure there's stuff out there, but I don't remember reading about it. So, hats off to Apple. I won't be throwing any smoke or shade at them. I'm a big Apple user, big Apple advocate. It's kind of funny, when I was younger, you're always like, no, I want to be an Android user because I want the availability of being able, essentially, most people would just want to jailbreak their stuff to like download apps or try to get things for free.
Yeah, I was the
I was
same
like,
way.
I'm not going to use
Yeah.
Apple. And then the second I had an like an iPhone in my hand, I was like, this is so easy to use. No wonder so many people gravitate towards this
Yep.
thing. And I was like, I kind of like put myself at a disservice for not buying this sooner. And I, went that way. I never looked back. I've had an iPhone ever since. I'm not big into like trying to get stuff for free or jailbreaking or any of that kind of stuff. I mean, I guess if I want to play around with like malware on the phone or try to do those kind of things, then I'd probably get a Google or an Android cheap one on the side and then kind of go that route to play with it. But I'm very happy with my iPhone. The one thing I'm hoping that comes of this though is that you can do remote reboots. Like you have your work phones. Usually, IT or cyber department has software on there. Like if your phone gets stolen, they can automatically wipe or reboot your phones. I'm hoping with this feature also, if you can remote reboot and it puts it in that idle state, then that means your data cannot be accessed because it can't be decrypted, which would be a really cool feature as well. Something that's just even added on to having an iPhone. But what do you think, Ryan? You think Apple, as always, is forward thinking in these kind of things, or you think Google or they're going to
No,
follow suit in this way, or what are your thoughts?
yeah, they'll probably follow suit. Yeah, like I think Apple is the trendsetter in this regard. At the end of the day, I think all of the big companies want to make sure your stuff is secure and what have you, but they just are a little bit more lenient when it comes to the law enforcement side of the house. Apple has been notorious for saying no when it comes to aiding either local law enforcement or the feds. Like, hey, this suspect is deceased. Can you help us out? And Apple like, no,
Yeah.
sorry, we cannot do, right, because just it's the foot in the door. So as soon as you give them the foot in the door, then all of a sudden they have back doors and other things to your services. Not that I'm trying to hamper law enforcement, but it also works against the bad guys. So in this case, if someone were to lift your phone, steal your phone, things of that nature, and have access to those mobile forensic tools like Cellbrite, UFED, or something like that, as long as you rebooted your phone sometime before it was stolen, you should be good to go. And I guess for crooks, if there's a raid on the house as opposed to you running and hiding, you should also reset your phone before the feds get it or whomever. So those digital forensic tools still work though. So they can still get into your phone, but it's just a matter of have you rebooted recently? It makes it a little bit harder to extract that data when they make it a forensic image of your phone. If anything, if I were law enforcement, I would make sure I got the forensic guy or gal in sooner rather than later, because the idle time now, right? The clock is ticking. So as soon as we have the phone in our possession, the whole chain of custody and all that good stuff, you need to get it to a forensics person to try to get that image made. If if it can be done, right? I just don't know. I don't know how long that takes. I've never been on that side of the house. I'm not a forensics guy, but you learn about it when you're trying to complete your degree, and they teach you a little bit about how digital forensics works, and chain of custody and all that good stuff, the legality behind it. So I think it's all cool. So hopefully this is a boon to non-criminals, right? To just regular users like ourselves, and then doesn't come up the works too bad for law enforcement. But we'll see. We'll see what the future holds on that one. But kudos to Apple, again, trendsetter, and this will probably move to your Android and whomever in the very near future. So the next article is Canada orders TikTok to shut down over national risk concerns. So this one is written by Bleeping Computer by Bill Towles. I'm terrible at this. I need Chan to come back. So in this article, it talks about how the Canadian government has ordered the dissolution of TikTok Technology Canada following a multi-step review that provided information and evidence of the social media company posing a national risk. So they told TikTok to shut down its on-premise business immediately. So yeah, that's the thing. I'm going to toss it to Daniel. What are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, so now we see this both US and Canada are kind of in the outs with TikTok. I'm going to throw it back a little bit with this phrase I'm about to say, but in the famous words of James Franco in the interview, this is same, but different, right? The US didn't want TikTok either physically, they don't want the app on the stores, nothing. They want to, exercise that demon and get them out completely. With Canada, it's a little different because they're allowing the users to both have the app and become a content creator on the app if they want. They just don't want any physical presence of TikTok within the country itself. What's really going on there? We're not too sure, but if you ask me, put my tinfoil hat on real quick. I think either TikTok.
You put on, hold on, for the people just listening, you put on a real tinfoil hat, people. I'm gonna make that the thumbnail.
If you ask me, I think either ByteDance sending like spies or something like that to these countries to actually try to infiltrate the governments or something like that, or they're using TikTok as a platform to brainwash to different countries as well. I'm not too sure what's going on, but that's like my tinfoil hat on it. But in all seriousness, though, all this has to come from. There's got to be a larger intelligence gathering that's marking these information for the governments to be taking these stances. And obviously, the general users and us in the background talking heads are not going to really know what's going on. But I would be curious to see, what do you think, Chris, if this is going to be a trend now for the different UN nations, other places around the world that have good intelligence gathering, coupled with security concerns of a large organization like ByteDance in China, where maybe there's more to how they're doing these algorithmic things now that there's been so many years of data collected. What are your thoughts?
I mean, from the international perspective, not speaking US or Canada, what's stopping any EU country from saying Facebook is just if I had a tinfoil hat, CIA collection device, right? What's stopping them from banning American companies from doing the same? Just because, hey, they follow the GDPR stuff and regulations in Europe doesn't. How do we know that there's that level of assurance? Because they're US based, right?
They
I think this is a trend.
They have it in the past, though, right? And the Facebooks and Instagrams and even the X's of the world, which I'm forgetting what it was before.
Twitter.
There's a lot more years of data on how those things collect data, their algorithms, what they're feeding people, and what they do.
Yeah.
I feel like if there was a concern there, that would come to light already.
Correct. But, I think if I would put my tinfoil hat on, Canada does as the U.S. does, right? Canada kind of follows the U.S. in terms of, they like to copy us, really. Let's be real here.
They're our cousins.
Yeah, they're our cousins, right? They even have their own. They're actually implementing their own version of CMMC, right? So I think that was discussed in a previous podcast. But what's interesting to me is that they're just shutting down TikTok Technology Canada. So effectively, anybody working for TikTok in Canada, but they can still use the app. So is this just a political thing? Is this just a political kudos for whatever organization, whoever is running it. So that's kind of where I'm kind of leaning towards. I think just, based on current political landscape, there's a lot of protectionist, isolationist vibes coming from a lot of these electorates, right? So this might be just another example of that. Somebody on a campaign platform and say, "Oh yeah, I was part of the process or whatever that banned TikTok Canada. Now those Chinese spies can't get." So I think it is just posturing from them, because like they can still use the app. Come on, man. At least here in the US, they're trying to say, hey, unless you sell it, unless TikTok or ByteDance turns over ownership to another company, it's gonna be bad. But realistically, how is that gonna happen? In this, how is ByteDance or how is TikTok gonna be banned in the US?
Oh, it's
Kind
not.
of going back to that.
It's not going to happen.
It's probably not. How is that gonna happen?
Now that we've had a shift of presidency, I think that's going to be real that again, and then it's going to stay put. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I was all about it.
Yeah, for sure.
I was all about getting rid of it. But
yeah, but TikTok's very entertaining. I won't lie. I freaking love it. Like all these, like a lot of government people, they don't want it on. Yeah, your government phone, but in my opinion, right? Like, I'm getting a lot of TikToks, completely off topic, on like R&B and like people reacting to old songs, and I'm all about it. I freaking love it. People recreating, 90s R&B. I love it. But anyway, back on topic. Part of it is, I think, Canada's posturing, and I just don't think that there's nothing that I don't think they've done anything of value, I think, from Canada. Now, if more countries are going towards this, and this is a kind of a step in that direction where they prevent, quote unquote Chinese spies from getting information, it might be a thing, right? But the thing is, why is just TikTok held to that standard, right? What about Instagram? What about WhatsApp? Telegram. I think Telegram is a Russian, right? So Telegram is, being pro. The guy got arrested and when he came on France, right? The CEO. So yeah, it's just for me to keep talking about it, I'll have to put more tinfoil hat stuff on. So I'll pass back to you.
No, I don't think you guys are far off. We may never know why this was done, actually. So my tinfoil hat theory is it was in an effort to begin the blocking of TikTok, right? Like I think it's the first step. So we feel like you're a threat, so we get you off of our soil, and then the next step is we take you off of the App Store or Google Play Store or whatever. So I think it's you have to do something, like A has to happen before B happens, basically. I think that's what's going on. Or you can go a little bit deeper. Perhaps they did see indications of spying and they wanted to cancel visas, right? Like you can't work in a country without it. You can't live in a country without a job if you're on a working visa. So maybe they thought that some people were there in Canada doing some nefarious things and they wanted them out. So part of the process of getting them out of there is to get rid of their job. But I think that's a longer workaround than just deporting people, right? You just like, you're a spy, you need to get out of here. So I think that would be the long route to kicking out spies as opposed to just kicking them out. So it could be posturing. Like I don't think that you're on the wrong track, Chris, at all. Like I think that most likely that is the easy answer. That is probably what they are doing, right? It's the most common sense answer is that they don't. Their constituents are anti-foreign bodies and social media presence and things of that nature. So they're putting up a hard stance to then run on that in the future. But it could just be the first step in the domino. Like, right, Canada kicks them off, US kicks them off, and then Apple is told to remove it from the App Store at some point as well. So could be the future. TikTok could be going down. Or so I disagree with Daniel, which is very rare. I don't think that this administration is going to back down off TikTok because they were the administration that initially kicked it up.
Oh,
they were like, you need to sell to a US body.
You are right. I guess.
Yeah. So I think that if anything, they're going to turn it up, like turn the screws off.
Though, I guess another question that comes out of this article is, what is the general populace's appetite for government? We already seen people outraged about it But is this the first domino? Are we going to see more of this where, in China, they control a lot of the interwebs, kind of the data and the things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
almost all of it. Yeah.
AUD, some of the Middle East countries also do that kind of with their populace. Canada, US, and the UE usually don't, but this is the first time that's actually happening. I wonder if this is going to be a trend moving forward for foreign-owned countries that have apps in our app stores, or is it just an outlier?
So, in my personal opinion, right? So, just Ryan's 2 cents. I think it comes down to constituents, right? Their constituency, the people actually who are voting, are more hardline isolationists, who don't necessarily want a foreign body having a presence, and affecting our youth. So the youth who care about it, the ones who are actually on there creating their personas and things of that nature, for the most part, right? There's older people who also have social media presence on TikTok, but the people who are doing the TikTok dances and the challenges and whatnot, they're not of voting age, so they don't matter in this case, which is unfortunate. The people who feel as though it is a means of brainwashing and things of that nature are the people who are actually voting. So, of course, their electorate is going to be like, yeah, I want to get reelected. I'm going to stick it to TikTok, stick it to ByteDance, right? In order to get these votes
Strong
going.
point.
And then maybe in the next decade or so, when those kids are able to vote, then they'll flip flop. They'll be like, oh, TikTok isn't so bad, or whatever is the new hotness, right? Depending upon how the political currents change, right? That's how politicians do their business. They flip flop as needed. So I'm cool with the whole TikTok being so to a certain extent, right? Because I am a little nervous about how they collect data and how they're able to influence our population. But at the end of the day, I don't know how that's going to be done. Like, you have a rogues gallery of characters being put into the new administration, so perhaps it'll go to Elon or one of his buddies, right? And then it'll be U.S. owned, because X or Twitter, or whatever it's called now, can definitely use the presence, so, or the disappearance of a social media platform, right? Because then that bolsters everybody else's platform. So I don't know. We'll see what the future holds on that one, but I think this is the first domino, and we'll see what the U.S. does to it in January, probably.
Yeah, we'll see.
They'll start talking about it. Yeah. So, yeah, stay tuned. We'll have more to come. But yeah, this is the first time. I think this is the first time TikTok's been kicked out of the country. So it could be the start of a trend. Today's discussion is coming from the Register. So it is titled Five Eyes InfoSec Agencies List 2023's Most Exploited Software Flaws. So the cybersecurity agency of the UK, cybersecurity agencies, of the UK, US, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, which are the Five Eyes, issued a list of the 15 most exploited vulnerabilities of 2023, and warned that attacks on zero-day exploits have become more common. Well, duh, on that part. I think this article is pretty interesting. We talk about this so far. I think we've done one of these almost every year, right? Because this always pops up at the tail end of the year. So it's cool to have a different perspective, right? The past 2 years have been me and Shannon. The first year was probably going to me, Shannon, and Levon. So now we get to get your guys' take as well. So I'll toss it to Daniel. What are your thoughts?
0 days are very interesting. They're like the unknown, the shadow master. Like, you've seen Hercules or mythology. It's like a Hydra. You think you patch, you get your systems ready, you remediate 1 0 day, and then like 3 more pop up out of nowhere, 5 more. The article in the beginning goes to say, make sure your stuff's updated, it's patched, all that stuff. But with 0 days, it's not going to really help that much, because 0 day, as it says, is something that's new and exploitable that hasn't been in the, out there in the populace for more than not even a day. So to prepare for it, it's almost impossible. And if the malicious actors are pivoting to doing more 0 days than social engineering and phishing attempts, it kind of signal a lot of bad things. Because I don't know, from an industry's perspective or a business perspective, how do you really protect against that? They go on to name a bunch of different like software and how those softwares or hardwares are being exploited and things of those natures. But as a cybersecurity practitioner, you do your best to either implement things like, multi-factor, zero trust, segregation network, endpoint security, those kind of things. The things that the article is alluding to are actually either systematic flaws from the software itself and the malicious actors exploiting those things in different ways, which would actually put the onus on the third-party vendors on how they architect and build security into their products, which also some of those products are from security vendors. And there's only so much you can do also to make things function for a business. And you got to think, a lot of what these malicious actors are doing now also are they're retooling old ports and protocols or services that have been out and been used for like 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And they're realizing that there's different ways that they can use them to exploit things out there. So, I'd hate to be the doom and gloom guy as always, but there's a lot that the bad guys can do. And if they're going towards 0-day, they're going to make us more reactive in nature than we would want to be. Chris, I know I'm sounding, like the end of the world, but do you think my head's in the right place with this one, or?
I think your head is in the right place because I think you said zero trust, and I think that should apply at every level of cybersecurity in terms, especially when it comes to some of these vendors. When you as an organization are looking to onboard a vendor for, an MSP, or when you're utilizing, if you're gonna, install Cisco or even Fortinet or whatever, like any stuff on this list, you have to be cognizant of these specific weaknesses and work with that specific vendor to say, hey, what have you guys done to ensure that in this example, the third and fourth positions go to, and fifth positions actually, they go to Cisco and Fortinet, right? We know Cisco and Fortinet are big networking, network security. They're big in the networking, like routers, firewalls, right? Big companies, people with the power to influence these companies should be able to work with them and say, hey, look, have you guys done anything to mitigate these flaws? Like these iOS operating system vulnerabilities where this is the third position, right? Cisco has iOS XE operating system issues where they can subvert software and create a local account and escalate their privileges. Like that's just kind of basic penetration testing type stuff. I'm not saying it's basic, but I'm saying it's an access control problem. All right. A lot of the top two were access control problems. So I think as a vendor or as a business, looking into your own access control policies, procedures, access granting, privileged access reviews, ensuring that really no stone is unturned, making sure every account everybody that leaves your organization, their accounts get disabled, deleted, whatever it might be based on your policy or organization. That is huge, right? Because it's getting into those old accounts, brute forcing them, and then escalating those privileges where companies and these organizations really, that's where they get into a lot of trouble. And I think you're definitely right on the enemy or the adversary is always active. They've got nothing to lose. They're playing around. They're messing around with a Rubik's Cube, which is your security system. And if they're going to solve it eventually, right? They're going to solve it eventually. No puzzle no code cannot be broken unless you go towards that quantum cryptography or stuff like that. But implementing cryptography and everything is extremely difficult, right? So these access control measures, put into place by these organizations is huge. And I think working with a vendor is key on that. But kind of discussing some of the other stuff here, they do talk about older vulnerabilities, like Daniel was saying. A lot of these vulnerabilities have existed for potentially even years, like the SQL injection vulnerability. In progress move it transfer that will allow an attacker to sniff around MySQL server and Azure SQL databases. Like, how is it that 2020 and 2019 X versions are still vulnerable? Right? It's actually it is looking at your legacy platforms and ensuring that there is continuity and looking at all those aspects, and that is a problem. It's one of those things where you're so big, right, as Microsoft, and you just got to secure more. You got more to work with. The more buildings you have, the bigger your threat. The more threat vectors that you do have. Yeah, at the end of the day, no stone unturned, right? And really look at your old programs look at your legacy platforms, secure them to the best of your ability, because that's all we can do, right? That's all we can do as security professionals. Do what we can. So that's kind of my thoughts. Ryan, what do you think?
No, I think you guys are both on the right track. So, yeah, you talk about some of the things on the list. You're like, how are they still on the list? For me, it's number 8. So it's the Apache Log4j or Log4j, however you want to pronounce it, vulnerability from 2021. That was huge when it happened, right? Like that was the tail end of that year, and people were scrambling. But it's still number 8 in 2023. How is that possible if people are paying attention? That shouldn't be possible. So what that leads me to believe, right? Like put on my consultant hat for a second, is that it's a lot of mom and pops who don't necessarily understand patch management or not very technical, or you have people on your team who are just not paying attention, right? You have somebody who's in charge of your configuration management or your patch management who doesn't have a vested interest in searching forums and learning new stuff. Listen to podcasts. Like there's a lot of things you could do to stay in the know that are passive, right? You don't have to constantly be trying to a threat hunt, right? Like that's a special talent that everyone doesn't have. But you can passively listen to podcasts, you can read forums, you can check out big websites like Dark Reading or Bleeping Computer or like this, The Register, right? You can still be in the know without having to be the most techie person on the planet if this is your job. Or it could be that we just need to make a major shift to cloud, right? Because a lot of these are probably on-prem systems that are still suffering from Log4j. Because if you're in the cloud with one of these big billion-dollar, trillion-dollar companies, they probably patched it out by now. You would hope. If you're, Azure and this is still a thing, then Microsoft has made a big mistake. They deserve to lose your money, but I doubt it. I'm pretty sure that they've already patched this out of their systems. But you being a person who, maybe it's a server in your closet, maybe you haven't done so. You might need to move. You might need to migrate to the cloud for better security because you're not able to handle it yourself, basically, at this point. So there's a lot to be said about that, and we can't solve it all in one day. But I think it comes down to awareness. It comes down to actual care, right? You're doing your due diligence. You're actually searching around and learning some stuff because you're not going to get everything. But you'll get the things that have been on this list for 2 years if you've paid any attention to the cybersecurity landscape in the past couple of years, right? You'd have been like, oh yeah, I know what Log4j is. I should see if this is in my systems because it's a heavy hitter, right? At 0 days, they get everybody. They get governments, they get everybody else. That's for somebody else to care about. That's for your billion-dollar, trillion-dollar companies who have threat hunting teams that are out there constantly. Like Google's always after Apple. Apple's always after Google. Like they're trying to find these 0 days to tell each other about it, right? To get those bug bounties, to get awareness out there because one weakness in the chain makes us all weak, right? Because we have mixed vendor situations all over the place. So we don't want to be exploited because you got exploited. So those things already exist. There's already people out there who are trying to find the 0 days. That's not necessarily for you as a listener of this podcast. Somebody's already handling that. What you can do is these things have been identified, and now I can do something about it within my own environment, or I can migrate to a better environment. So you can think about that as well, right? You have to do your business impact analysis to figure out like, can we afford to migrate, and how much will that better secure us and protect our data? So that's for you to do, or for you to contact Ram Cyber.
Yeah.
For me to do. Little plug there. But I digress. Really, it's just awareness. Like, just pay attention. Like, because I have people ask me, like, how do you stay up to date? I'm probably not completely up to date, but I have a vested interest because of the podcast, right? I'm always learning about new stuff so we can talk about it during the week. And then that bleeds into my actual job a lot. You're like, we should check out for this. And then you find it, you're like, man, listen, I'm glad I found this because now I get to talk to you about it. I get to be the smart guy in the room for a second and then help you patch this out of your system or, find a way to either mitigate, transfer, or suck it up and we have to accept the risk. Like, that's just the way it is, right? So one of those things is going to happen as long as you have some kind of awareness. So that's my big plug. So yeah, listen to the podcast. We'll make you aware. At least we'll try. Because I have to find 3 to 4 articles a week. So I'm always out there searching, right? So if you listen to us, you'll hear about something. But I digress. Without further ado, how's your week, Chris?
Our week was pretty decent, right? I mean, we've been relatively light on a lot of media. It's just, I think, with us just kind of recovering from kind of the political cycle and everything, it's just waiting for things to kind of like the dust to settle and everything. On the personal side, I started training for a half marathon again, right?
Nice.
So I'm gonna be doing the Gasparilla this upcoming February.
Man,
So in the past, or like since I left the military, I've been running, but I haven't done any races or anything like that. So it's
Got it.
different when I was in the military. I was running and I was running with people, so I had like competition and stuff like that,
Mhm.
or I just had that regular running group. Now that I'm out, it's just like, and also being mostly a remote worker, it's like you don't have that.
Yeah.
You have to find a running group, but these running groups all over the Tampa Bay area start weird times. They I like just run where I'm at, right? So yeah, so I've been running like 15-ish a week, since since I left the military, but I gotta ramp that stuff back up to like 30 miles a week, right? 35 miles a week
Cool.
towards my training. So I
On
did
purpose?
5 miles yesterday, and then each consecutive Saturday, each Saturday I'm going to add another mile to that, right? And I know my body I can still do it. But it's just that I'm not used to it, right? Because I haven't ran over 6, 7, 8 miles in a
Mhm.
long time, right? So that's almost 2 years now. So I'm getting back into it. I saw my belly the other day. I'm like, I think I need to start running more.
Man,
That
listen.
hurt, dude. I actually think
You're
that's
still
like,
the age group. You're still in a good
yeah,
age group that when you can push your body that way. It's kind of because are you above the 35
I am
break line
above
or
35. Yeah,
below 40? Correct.
I'm below 40. Yeah, I'm below 40.
Yeah,
So I'm not 40 yet.
you're
But
still in your fine. You're fine.
yeah, but I'm thinking like, I just don't want to get into the trap of, I don't want to be a big bellied veteran. That's all.
That's what I'm turning into that.
Like
That is a real thing.
I remember like when you guys were junior and you see these retired old guys working contracts, like, man, that guy's big. And then he shows you a picture when he was in the military, like, dude, this guy's a beast.
Yeah,
You
he was diesel.
He's a diesel, yeah. But yeah, like here in Florida, you see a lot of these, like we know them like old jacked guys. They're just gonna be jacked forever, right? I want to be that old jacked
Running down
guy.
Bayshore. Yeah,
Yeah.
running
Yeah,
down
just
Bayshore.
super jacked, running on Bayshore, right? That's what I want to be when I'm older.
It's like
When
a life. It's really a lifestyle. Like I
yeah,
kind of fell off the wagon a little bit. I luckily don't have a belly, knock on wood,
mm,
but I broke the 40 year like break line, and
yeah,
physically you feel it. Like I stopped doing what I used to do, and then now
yeah,
trying to get back, it is like it's a slow burn. It's the slowest burn of my life.
exactly. Maybe it's like we're working more sedentary jobs. At least in the
Yeah.
military, even though we were in information technology, there were times when you're like, hey, working party, let's go, right? You had to go help out, right? You had to do little things like that. Even even
We
as you
had
got
to work out. We had to work out.
yeah.
We didn't have a choice, right? We like at least 3
It's
times a
part
week
of
for us.
your day.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
part of your day, and it's like baked into your
Yeah.
your time. Like it was
So
nice. Like,
nice.
oh, 2 days
Yeah.
2 days a month, or 2 days a week, 3 days a week, depending on your unit. You got 2 hours of those days to go work out. It's
I
like
loved
that's
it.
awesome. Now you don't have that. You got to work out earlier, right? So for me, it's
You have
like
to wake up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
wake up before
Yeah.
5 o'clock in the morning, do what you got to do. At least a lot. We could still do that, but again, it's difficult to do that when you're not coming into a gym full of military, guys and gals that are doing the
just
same thing. It's like,
hitting
oh,
it.
what's going
Yeah.
on, man? Yeah,
Getting it.
it's totally different, right? It's totally different. And gyms here in the Tampa Bay, it's like hit or miss, right? And the bigger gyms, like the global type gyms, the big names, they're
Yeah.
further away. I want something like 10 minutes from me. I don't want to. Apartment gym's nice, but it doesn't have heavier weights, so that bothers me. I'm like, I need at least 80-pound dumbbells. Give me someone like it goes like to
He's
40. I'm like, what is this? What is yeah, I've been a big workout guy for most of my military career, and leaving the military, it's like one of those things you really miss. So I did want to point that out. At the media end, let's see what we started Harry Potter, right? We always
Okay.
do Harry Potter once a year, and we just went through the first 2 movies in the past 2 weeks. We started that.
I still got to do that, man. I watched the first movie and I was so bored.
Well, the first
I heard they
movie.
get better.
So the
I was so
the
bored.
first two movies were really geared towards,
Right.
like a young audience. And with the third movie, I think they take a darker turn. The direction changes, right? They stop using John Williams' music and go with another composer, right? So it's like it's all these things change, and I think it matures, right? I mean, as the story matures, right? You have different movie styles, and I still very much enjoyed the first two movies just because I still have the
Get
lines
the
memorized.
nostalgia.
The
Yeah.
nostalgia. Like I remember like when those movies first came out, like yeah, I got dressed up. I had my wand, like a little nerd that I was. It's fantastic. It's funny. It's a totally random thought, right? So Hogwarts, it's British, right? And in the newer movies, they have an English. I'm sorry, a U.S. version of Hogwarts and the U.S.
Really?
version of the Magic. Remember those newer movies? So I'm like, okay, so what about Asia? Like, how do Asians
Right.
cast spells? Because like the fix
Chopsticks. No,
huh?
I'm kidding.
Say
Chopsticks.
again?
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. I'm like,
They
yeah.
can
So
screw them.
like, come on, expand the Harry Potter world to like Asia, and you got yourself a winner there.
Well, they
Right.
got
Oh
Universal.
yeah.
They
Yeah.
have Universal over here, and they
Yeah,
have a Harry Potter world in the
yeah,
Universal Studios, and it's huge. It's really huge.
yeah. Exactly. It's huge. It's huge, and even the one in Orlando, right? It's massive. So I'm thinking, capitalize on the different cultures and the magic, and then you know, keep things, you don't have to keep things to the US and the UK all the time, right? You can,
Right.
incorporate the Asians or even Africa, all that could, there's so much
I'm
to
really surprised they
explore.
haven't though, because we see that in like the Transformers movies and all that stuff. Like they
Yeah.
always go
That's true, yeah.
to China because they need to be in that market. So it's
Mhm.
like let's cast a either Japanese or a Chinese or someone who's iconic over here
Yeah.
to bring it. Because like when I went to Disney Paris, they focused on characters. I was like, I don't even know who that is. Like
Yeah.
it's someone who is like from their country or from that area, but they weren't the main character.
Yeah. I think they have an opportunity to do that. It would have to be written very clever because it is very Eurocentric. Obviously, like Wizards is a very much a European, like from
Yeah.
that storytelling.
Castles and the
But you got
architecture.
different cool stuff that you
The
can.
Hogsmeade Prefecture.
Yeah, exactly. I want like a sake castle, freaking temple.
Pretty cool.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm completely thinking outside here, but yeah, Harry Potter, right, on the media end. British Bake Off is this in its semifinals now, so that's fantastic.
That's your jam.
That's my jam. I
Yeah.
love British Bake Off ever since like 2020, ever since COVID. Like British Bake Off. Oh my God, we love it. We freaking love it. And got a new blender. We got a Vitamix, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Right, like yeah, it's like our old Ninja. It started. I think some of the plastic pieces were just kind of like you can tell they're like disintegrating or just some of that. And we don't want to consume any of that stuff. So I think it's definitely was time to replace it. But we got the Vitamix 5200, which is the one they use in restaurants. It's actually cheaper than like the more advanced stuff because it's literally just it gives you variables and it's on and off. That's it. It's very simple and we really love that. But yeah, that's kind of my week in a nutshell. Daniel, how was your week?
And it's a whirlwind. A lot of stuff for the website, which is finally almost done.
Okay.
I'm really, really excited about that. So the guy, I would highly recommend him, Ryan. It looks really good.
Okay.
It looks really good. And I'm actually ready to post on Medium. So I have about 4 or 5 articles written already for the blog. So I think I'm just going to start posting on there. I got the hosting prepared for the website. So the website's name will be meanwhilejp.com.
Nice.
So I was able to get that. Meanwhile in Japan was taken, but Meanwhile in JP is good enough. So I was happy about that. So getting the gear for the lighting. I bought a new desk, IKEA's finest. I went on YouTube and did like the whole IKEA hack. So I got the Alex drawers. I went and I picked up everything today. I got the new computers. I was really overzealous. I thought I was gonna be able to get back early enough today and set up everything, and I got back super late, and I was like, I'm exhausted. Yeah, I'm like exhausted. Tomorrow I built all this stuff during the weekend at least though. So tomorrow, move everything around, get the new desk in here, set up the mic, set up the camera. Yeah, and I'm excited to start doing the vlog stuff. So I'm gonna look online to see what the other people in this space are doing, places I would like, choose a place, maybe go with my kid and my wife, scout it, and then take a day and go by myself, and then just record some stuff. I got one of those lavalier mics, wireless ones, not the
Oh, nice.
DJI, not the really expensive
Yeah.
one, a step down, but I tested it. It's really good, so I'm excited about that.
DJIs are really good. There's that one in the road. I saw
Yeah,
that one.
they're amazing. They're so expensive though.
Yeah, but also I actually think the DJIs look better because they're just like they look like a USB stick versus the Rode is just a
Yeah,
gigantic square. I don't like how it
actually,
looks on
it's the
video.
I got the Hollyland pretty much,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they're
yeah,
so it's a step down, something to just start.
yeah.
It's really expensive, but I just want to get a feel for it. And as I get better into content creating and enjoying
hmm
it, then I'll go ahead and do it. I have a DJI Osmo 6, so that's a gimbal thing that
Okay.
holds your phone. So I'll
Yeah.
use that for vlogging. It's really good. Yeah, I just been like just researching all that kind of stuff most of my week. Played some Apex, played some MOBA game on my phone. Me and my wife are going through finishing at a very, very, very slow pace Shogun, which I think has been amazing. We really enjoyed the show.
I gotta jump back on it. I really do.
I really enjoyed it. Started to watch anime again, so I didn't realize My Hero Academia the season finished with another season going to happen. I thought this was going to be the last season.
Yeah, there's no
Oh,
way they're gonna
oh,
finish it.
I was like, really? Come on, man! Like, you're at the end. Just finish it already.
It's like Attack on Titan, man. It's the final
Yeah, I'm
season.
like, geez. I read Jujutsu Kaisen recently, a couple of weeks ago, actually. It's really good. I'm very happy how the arc of it. He made some
Did you
choices with
finish
some
it?
of the characters.
It's done. Did you finish it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
I
gotcha.
finished it. Yeah, now I'm reading Hunter x Hunter because the guy started writing again, and I was reading it before, but interesting thing about that guy that created that anime and manga, he's a huge otaku, so he really likes Dragon Quest games. So whenever a new Dragon Quest would come out, he would stop writing to play the Dragon Quests, and
Nice.
that's why those animes and mangas would have huge breaks. And I think he's married to
He's married to the author of Sailor Moon,
yeah,
Oh wow.
Togashi. Yeah.
the people that created Sailor Moon. That's a really interesting like couple, and he's a very quirky guy. Hunter x Hunter is a very unique. It's really dark. It's a really good manga, and I really enjoy it. It's like every different arc has a completely different feel. And like it's almost like he changes his writing style completely from what was written before. So
How
that's
far
what
are you in Hunter x Hunter?
so like where the anime finishes and the next chapter starts, that's where I'm at. I had read into that, but then he stopped writing, and I was like, I'm not gonna continue to read this if he's not gonna write.
I will tell you that reading it's very to me. I love Hunter x Hunter. I finished it. I'm caught up to the manga, but it was hard. It's so much text, right?
Yeah, it
And
is. I
and
think
I'm
that's why
like trying to.
I'm reading it too. It's crazy. Like the blocks of text are like
I'm like,
super long.
what? Like this is. I'm like, dude, Takashi, you can write a light novel.
Yeah,
Literally, you can just start writing a light novel versus. And I honestly, that might be better for his health because I know that Togashi. He was also the author of Yu Yu Hakusho, my personal favorite of
Oh
all
wow.
time,
yeah,
right?
it's a very
So
good one. Yeah,
and he actually ended it early because
yeah,
of issues he was having with health and
yeah.
things like that, which I get. Part of me is always like, man, why don't these mangaka why don't they just write light novels and they can get it over with? Especially a guy like Togashi, just write it and we'll
Yeah.
read that all day.
That last arc is like it's very political in the
It
beginning,
is
so
very
it's like
political.
a lot. He's like world building more and like
hmm
creating like the government system, like expanding on the explanation of it. So it's just
hmm
geez, I have to like zoom in to like, read these like chunks that are like that big. And I'm like, my God.
hmm
Watching Blue Lock, which is if you like sports anime, and I like soccer a lot. It's a really interesting one, and I want to watch Dan because it's the hype right now. So I want to see how good it is or not. And still watching Thousand Year War because the animation, like the
It's so
beginning of
good.
I didn't watch the first season, so the beginning of the first season when you get to the commander and his fight, the animation is so gorgeous, and I'm like, just take it back, like how good it is. It's very high level. So yeah, that's pretty much all the media and stuff that I've done this week. But hopefully by next week, the website will be up and running. So I'll do a plug for myself on that.
Good
And
stuff. Yeah.
actually, I haven't really thought of it completely, but a section in the website is I put blog, vlog, and podcast. So I might start a podcast on the side also.
Yeah.
I don't like podcasting by myself, so I need to figure that one out. But I think I'm
Yeah,
gonna.
get some of your friends from Japan in there.
I guess so. Yeah, I do want to kind of like just like things that come topical about the country that are happening. Just kind of talk about it as a foreigner, what that might mean to me, or like what it means to the people of the country, how they see it, and just make it short. I don't know. So I'm just still spitballing the ideas, but yeah, that's my week in a nutshell, Ryan. What about yours?
That's awesome. So got the COVID flu shot yesterday, so you can hear it in my voice. I'm already getting sick. So hopefully the rest of this weekend will be. I won't get sick. You know what I mean? Like I might lose my voice, get a couple sniffles. That's what I'm hoping for. But the weather's also cooler here, in quotation marks, right in Florida. I think we're like this morning when I went outside, it was a little chilly. It's probably in the 50s. So
That's
that's
cool.
actually, yeah, cool for us. But it'll be in the like low 80s by the end of the day. So
Yeah.
yeah. So definitely enjoying the weather right now. Getting a break from all of the heat. Last night watched The Post Exorcist. So
Oh yeah.
really good. Like I like those type of movies, right? But this one was like really well written because usually they get kind of corny. But now I was like, this is pretty good. So I watched it with my wife and my two sons, and we were all engrossed in it. It was pretty good.
I
And
can't watch
then
those. I'm a huge baby. I watch those and I can't sleep.
so I knocked off a couple times during it, not because it was boring. It was just we started mad late. My wife was like, "How are you falling asleep?" I'm like, that's exorcism. It's fine.
I'd face.
It doesn't affect me like that. I'm like, ooh, that's scary. I'm gonna go to sleep.
Yeah.
There's a little boy in it who's possessed. It's in the in all of the trailers and whatnot, so I'm not spoiling anything. But he's really good. I was like, man, this little boy is really acting his butt off. But so watch that. It's really good. I might have to watch it again because I fell asleep during like some key moments. But again, not because it was bad. It's just I was tired. And then been playing Call of Duty multiplayer, like surprisingly on PC. So with a controller. So the blasphemy of it all, right? I'm terrible, but I'm having fun. Like I'm playing with my friend Matt. So we haven't played Call of Duty in over a decade because I literally stopped playing 11 years ago. I was like, I'm not playing this no more.
Black Ops
And
2.
I'm terrible, but I'm having fun because it makes me being so bad. It makes me an objective guy. So I'm no longer going for kills. I'm going for team wins. So if we're playing domination, I'm capturing something. If we're going for the I forget what all the other modes are, but hard point, I'm going for the hard point. Like I don't care about dying because my KDR will always be terrible regardless. So let's go ahead and capture these objectives, which I've been ranking up pretty fast because when you get you get a kill at the objective, you get more points. So
Right.
KDR is trash. I don't care. But I'm having fun. The battle pass just dropped. I'm not big into. I don't care about live service anything. I'm only playing because a friend of mine is playing. I'm not going to get your battle pass. I'm not going to give you more money. I wouldn't even be playing this game if it wasn't on Game Pass, to be honest with you. But it is very well designed. It's a lot of fun. I'm just not competitive anymore. Like we're getting older, right? So like when Daniel said that he got all his stuff home, but he didn't set it up, just think 20 years ago, you would have
That's
stayed
true.
up all night. You would have set up on your kitchen table to
Yeah.
play around with it. Like now we're just like, meh, I got bills. I'll get this. I'll do this in the morning.
I would have sent all up and like open up tomorrow, go to work at like 6 or something. I would have been
Yeah.
You're right.
Yep. Yeah. What a difference. The same thing with the Tyson fights. I watched that. Age comes for us all. Father Time's undefeated.
Yeah.
So
I knew it.
I was
But
disappointed.
he's almost 70. It's ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
I knew he wasn't gonna win. I wanted him in a heart to heart. I wanted him to. But the second he walked out there and I saw how he was moving, I was like, something wrong with his leg to begin with.
Yeah. He was in a brace.
And yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
So people were saying that it was rigged and whatnot, but like all the fights before it were real fights. Like it was people were fighting.
Either way, both of them made bank from this.
Yes.
Bang.
Yeah, I just hope they both got to keep the majority of it, right? Because like back in the day, your purse could be 60 million and you'd walk away with 60,000 because you had all these. You're being hustled, right? Like it was a big con game, a big pyramid where the person who was actually getting punched in the face was getting nothing. So I'm hoping because of the way people are set up now, where they own their own production, their teams are smaller, they get more buy-in from the network. Like I'm hoping
Yeah.
that they walk away with the majority of their purses, because that's a win regardless. And like he said in the interview at the end, like this was for his personal achievement. Nobody's fighting at 58 at that level and making that type of money. So he deserves it. I have been watching some of the before stuff where he's training. He was a lot faster in training. So just like, did he burn himself out, or did he take a little steam off? Because like we know Jake Paul took a little steam off because he didn't want to knock down Mike, right? Like
Yeah.
it would have been a lose-lose situation for him, right? He's an icon. But I think Tyson might have took a little off too, but he also could have been hurt because he did look like his legs were not right. Either he's a brilliant actor or he's 58 and he's broke down. You know what I mean? Like,
Is he 50 or is he 68? Am I putting him older than I? Okay,
yeah,
my
you make
bad,
him a
Mike.
little bit older.
My bad, Mike.
So hopefully, because they asked him if he was going to retire, he said maybe not. But it's like when Jordan came back. I was like, can you just stay retired? So that's what I want for Tyson. But also make your bank, right? He has a podcast, he has TV shows, he's acting in movies, and now he's still boxing for of millions of dollars. So I don't know. Aside from that, though, yeah, I'm finishing up Space Marine 2, and no anime or anything like that recently, but I do hope to get into something. Just working on my craft, doing a lot of documentation, right, governance stuff. Like I was able to write information security policy, cyber policy, and I started a BIA, so business impact analysis. So I'm having a good time. I like this stuff. It's weird, right? I like the boring stuff. So work
For
has
yourself, or
been
are you
good
doing it for
in consulting for a client of Rams. I did it, and I actually like that stuff. Like I was like, yeah, let's get this. Like, because the person's like, oh man, it's so much stuff. I'm like, no, I got you. Like the whole thing is like, it's not like back in the day where you come in and do assessment, break it all, and leave. Like, no, I'm finding the stuff that I'm going to help you draft, and I got to show that, right? Like, hey, I found all these things that need maturing, and here's my new draft. Let's talk about it. Let's figure out how to tailor this specifically to you and get you up and running. So I like that stuff. Yep. So yeah, that's pretty much my my week in a nutshell. So thank you all for tuning in. We've been doing really good on all the things, right? Social media, as well as our new home on 8.1 FM, and soon to be on Channel 10 in the Fairfax, DC area as well. Hit up all the websites to go by our name. So the other side of the Firewall, the other side of the FW, or Ask CISSP. Hit us up on all of the social medias that we live on. So I'm RY Security Guy. That's RY Security Guy on LinkedIn and all the other places. But LinkedIn is my bread and butter. And you, Chris, where can they find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn under my name, Chris Abacon. Last name is spelled Abacon.
And you, Daniel?
You find me on LinkedIn under my name, Daniel Acevedo, and TBD, meanwhile, and JP.com.
There it is. Stay safe. Stay secure.